Welcome back to the First of the Worst podcast. I am Brendan Murphy.
And I am Steve Horrendous.
Well, Steve, it's a beautiful day. It's a day for some potential outdoor activities, potential datey type activities. That was not our smoothest transition.
I don't think this is going to be our smoothest podcast.
And that it was kind of awkward and off-putting. And our topic today is first dates, and awkward and off-putting are how many of them go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know a ton about first dates.
Steve hasn't really dated. He just got to fall in love. What a dick.
It's been a long time. Yeah, I'm just going to be... think of me as your a teacher, a dating teacher during this one. Do those who can't do teach. So I'm going to be teaching you about dating.
Or you could say it the other way, that you're just so awesome at it that you only had to do it once.
A few times. But
after college, when people go on dates,
yeah, that's the thing.
You didn't really go on that many dates. Like, college doesn't count as dating. Actually, It's the best kind of dating, because it's just like, yeah, you're in my social life. Every night's a date.
So I couldn't remember my first date with my wife, and I don't think she can either. She claimed it's something, and I'm like, So we were the same thing, though, is because we work together.
Wonderful. Yeah, so you don't need a first date because you know each other.
We essentially probably at some point went on something that was probably considered a first date, but how many times did we eat lunch together before that, or hung out after work? I don't know.
So you and Jess met the same way you and I did, and that's how true love is for Steve Horrendous, its parent.
Yeah, absolutely. And we think if we were two gay men and we started dating, we wouldn't know when our first date was. It would just be one of the numerous lunches we went on together.
I will know that the first time I ever came to your desk to talk to you was when Brett Bielema left Wisconsin for Arkansas. He'd be a big part of our gay relationship.
Yeah, Bielema is probably a big part of a lot of gay relationships. All right, let's just get into this.
I don't think he is, but okay.
No, he's probably...
I mean, he's probably been involved in some weird stuff because he's such a drunk, and...
Yeah, things are probably...
Qualifies probably as a bear at this point.
Yeah.
Kind of like a badger or some sort of...
Yeah, I don't know if he's quite hairy enough.
Some sort of rodenty creature.
Yeah. Let's just do this and see how
here's the other thing about this list. I've been on a fuckload of dates, and I've done almost none of these things because I think there's really only one right answer, which will be my number one, which isn't like a fucking revolutionary pick or anything. I think with dating, keeping it simpler is better. First dates, especially.
We'll see. I think I have a pretty solid list.
All right.
I'm guessing I know what your number one is, and I think it's my number 8.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're different. We have different styles, though.
Yeah.
I do love the Me Show, so I want a venue where there's nothing to compete with.
That's ideal for this, though. So let's start it up. Yeah. What's your number 10?
My number 10 is, this is literally the one I would never do. No, there's several I would never do, but this is the most I'd never do of the things I'd never do. And that is a volunteer date.
That was on I did some.
So Googling. I had to go on the internet and find these things. It would have been better just to do dates, honestly, not just first dates.
No, I like that it's first dates because it makes it tougher.
Well, they are worse.
Yeah. Volunteering, that was on every single list, and I was like, nobody's ever done that for a first date.
Yeah, I mean,
unless
if you're a reverend in training. But even then, you're probably just meeting your bride to be at
it's not a first date.
Shelter.
What volunteering is a guy who's friends with a girl, and he wants her to like him, and she's going to volunteer, and he's like, "Oh, I'll go with you," but it's not a real date, dude. Sorry, never happened.
It could also. There's another way that works too, where he's like, "Hey, I volunteer at this."
Yeah, it's total bullshit. He's lying.
Shelter,
and then he has to find a homeless shelter.
Well, that is what I like about this one is that. First dates, just relationships in general, are just the big lie, the iceberg of a lie that is the presentation that you put up, just defrosting over time. And a first date is when that iceberg is fully intact and just heading straight for the Titanic.
See, I'm not a liar. So that's what part of my
It's
reasoning.
not necessarily a lie. It's just truth by deception or lie by deception.
When you see my number one, it'll be very much not deception.
Like when I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, my relationship history is great. Things like that. I mean, like, I would never say that, but I just wouldn't bring it up.
Oh yeah.
So like, that's what I mean.
But yeah, volunteering is just a brutal one. There were
so that's just part of the facade.
I'm gonna type you a couple that I saw on those lists, and just because I want to talk about them. But
so this is one of the. I mean, I usually that's kind of on mine, but not really.
Okay, then maybe we'll talk about it later. So we'll talk about that when it comes to something on yours.
See, guys, we could tell each other our whole list beforehand and have no element of surprise, but instead it's a slightly less coordinated, but more spontaneous.
Yeah, we have to somehow, because there's sometimes things we want to talk about that we might have left off our list, and we have to figure that out.
Yeah, I would say that doesn't really qualify in my list. So if you want to talk about that soon.
It's
so my number 10 is volunteering. I don't know anyone who would do that on a first date.
No. The one I want to talk about that's not on my list is workout dates. I told this to my wife, and she was like, "No, God, no." She was like, "It's just like, do you want to go?" It's
good for no one. Even if you're in really good shape, you're still a douche for suggesting you do the thing that you're really good at.
No, I disagree with that. You want to look the best as you can, but you're just a douche for going on a workout date. You want to always do something that makes you feel comfortable, and just don't worry about the other person.
You do want to do something that makes you feel comfortable, and I think you and I have different things that make us feel comfortable. So that's why our list will diverge a little bit.
Yeah, but you always want to do something that you can be the most comfortable in. So yeah, workout dates.
But ideally, you'd want them to be comfortable too, if it was going to be a good first date.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. No, workout date's terrible. My number 10. It's just boring, and it's going for coffee.
That's my number 9. I've never done it, and I've done a shitload of dating. Sorry. If we're having beverages, they need to be spiked.
If the whole date is having beverages, it's like that's the date. It can't just be coffee. Like
then they're like, I feel like they're like, oh, is he an alcoholic or is he broke or
yeah, is he a teetotaler?
I immediately just go to like a bunch of like potential negative takeaways they could have about me for suggesting it. And I'm living in a universe where the man suggests the date.
I don't even know. Like, if a girl suggested that date, I'd be like, no, maybe not.
No, but I mean, I'd get annoyed if a girl like didn't like my first venue.
I feel like I don't think this is gonna work out. We're gonna go for coffee. So then my number 9 are all things. There are 3 things lumped together. You might have them all over your list. I just tried
to do as much grouping as possible.
I think they're just sucky first date, but they're all things that can be fun to do on other later dates. And it's movie, plays, and concerts.
Okay, I actually had no movie at all, but later in my list I have, what did I call it? I just called it shows.
Yeah. It sucks. You can't talk.
You can't talk. But concerts do generally offer like more room to have conversation than a movie, most certainly.
Yeah, a show you probably like an intermission.
I also put a stand-up show on there, or I mean, all of the internet suggested improv shows.
Oh, really? So they haven't been to an improv show?
Exactly. Did you ever? I don't think you ever had to come to one of my improv shows.
Oh, I think I told you when you got into improv, I was not going to go to one of your shows.
But then I got cast in a show, and you were like, "I'm going to try to go," but you never.
Yeah, something happened actually.
There was you one did have like something happen. It was right around when Jess got pregnant or something.
Yeah, there was like a real excuse. It wasn't a fake one.
But you did come to my first ever real stand-up show.
Yeah. So
thank you for being such a caring friend.
This is being a friend. We'll just go into a Golden Girls song.
Yeah, this is going well.
But number 8, this might be your number 1. I don't even know. Is it drinks?
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to. I'll talk about. I have a lot of reasons why, and we'll get into them. But let's do you
Mine,
here, and then.
it's not a real date. It's not a date. It's a thing that only exists now because of internet dating.
Okay, we gotta put this in the back pocket because I wanna argue about this, but I want to make my case when it's number one.
Okay.
Is that
Okay.
all right?
We'll wait for it.
Because I feel like this should be the culmination. Because this could be where maybe the real debate happens. We'll embrace debate.
We'll embrace
on First
debate.
the worst today.
I'm gonna have so many dating hot takes during this. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, but how can I say you're wrong? Because you're doing pretty well.
You can't. That's the best thing about a hot take. There's nothing to back it up, so you can't disprove it. All right, what's your number 8?
My number 9 was coffee, as we.
Oh
Just,
yeah, we skipped
I just called it outdoor activity.
8.
Yeah, and that's just generic outdoor things without like bike ride, go for a walk.
Oh, so generic outdoor things, not like an actual like thing.
Not like a specific activity.
Okay, so I have some specific outdoor activities on mine, but not like
I grouped all those together as well.
not like go for a walk or like yeah, or like bike ride.
I guess like rock climbing could fit into this too, or something weird like that. But again, that's just like so douchey and weird and in the workout vein.
I just sent you something. Did you have that on your list?
No,
Okay.
I did not.
Yeah, I don't. And one of these outdoor activities that I didn't put on my list is picnics. That's a terrible first date.
Okay,
Here's
well,
why.
here's the thing. Go ahead. Why is it?
You can't- Because you're setting the bar so high for your future dates. Like you can't just shoot everything at the beginning. And now it's like you have to go like prepare things for every date you ever go on, like some asshole. You can't
There's
do
only
that.
one circumstance where that's okay, and that's the circumstance you detail with you and Jess, where you guys already have definitely a relationship. You know,
Oh,
like
yeah,
you
if
know
we
each
wanted
other
to.
pretty well, and that's technically your first date. I think it's okay to do something bigger because you want it to go well and you already know that you have feelings for this person. This is not like a generic internet date. If you're like first OkCupid or Tinder date is like, let's meet at Battery Park. I'll bring some wine. I'll bring some finger sandwiches.
You have like one of those baskets that has wine glasses connected to
No,
it.
that's fucking gonna throw. Everyone's gonna be very put off by that. I would guess.
No, I think the girl might like you, but then what are you gonna do for your second date?
Yeah, no, so I'm saying like there's 2 types of scenarios. There's like a blind dating scenario. There's 3. There's like a blind date, which is I'm calling all internet dates. There's
That's something I don't have any experience with.
we have like a one-off meeting, which is probably the most common.
Yeah,
Like you met at
that's
a
like your
bar.
standard dating
It's like a
from the past.
It's like not very many steps up from a blind date.
No, you're right.
Like you know basically the person's job and that you're attracted to them.
Yeah, you might not even remember what they look like.
You
if it
might
was at
not
a
even
bar.
remember their you might not remember their you probably won't remember their job. So maybe you just know their name.
Maybe.
That would be weird. I once had a girl show up for a date that didn't know my name and was like, "Where did we meet again?" And I was like, "Oh, this is weird."
Oh, see, that's crazy. I would never like if I was in her.
She showed up drunk to Sheffield's. This was like 2 years ago, and I know I can't get into too many bad date stories. Carly
No, you go
texted
for it.
Steve. Carly texted Steve and said, "What did she say?"
I think we were chatting, and I was just like, I told her what the topic was, and she was like, "Great, Brendan's just gonna talk about a bunch of bad first dates and act like he's really sad about it, even though he's had a girlfriend for a long time. It was always going on dates before that."
Yeah. Well, buckle up, Buttercup.
No, it's fine. Go for it.
No, this was a weird one though, because she's like, "Where did we meet again?" And she showed up hammered, and I was like, "Oh, OkCupid." She's like, "Great. What's your name again?" And I was like, "This is a new one. That's a new one."
Oh, see, if you were in her situation, right? Let's say you're in her situation. Do you ever admit you don't know the name?
No,
No way, right? You just try to figure. You try.
that actually becomes
an episode
a
of
fun
Seinfeld.
game. Yeah, that becomes a fun game.
It becomes an episode of Seinfeld, and you're just trying to figure out somebody's name without actually asking it until you say Mulva at some point.
So outdoor activity was what we were talking about way back when. I mean, it's just not.
Yeah, just like generic, just like
I mean,
That's like-
I could probably have it a little lower because like it doesn't sound like the worst idea.
no, like if you like, let's say you combine the coffee with like going for a walk around somewhere. I don't know. It's better than like sitting in a coffee shop.
Yeah, that's like what you do for an informal job conversation.
Oh, that's the problem with coffee shop too that I didn't bring up. Like, it's just coffee shops are now places where people sit with headphones and like work on their computers or have job interviews. Like, that's what goes on at coffee shops.
Yeah.
Oh, and I assume like poetry slams at night, but I'm never that midnight.
Yeah, who's at a coffee shop past like 2 p.m.?
People who don't drink.
You're right.
And
they're at diners a lot too. AA people go to a lot of diners.
Yeah, diners are sweet. And then they probably get like sad though at like 1 a.m. when the drugs start coming into the diners.
Yeah, oh, they're gone by then.
After they've just smoked 1,000 cigarettes. Do they do it anymore though? Now that they can't like smoke cigarettes?
I always see weird looking recovery types at the Melrose Diner on Broadway.
Yeah, that's where you gotta go. Just drink a lot of like crappy coffee
with like just burnt out ass waitresses.
Yeah. Okay. So
that was like a lifetime streak of bad decisions. Like, so never made the right choice.
So your number 8 was outdoor. We got all jumbled up early on in this because I'm an idiot. And then my 8 was drinks, which we're kind of just glossing over because we'll talk about it again later. And then my number 7 is one that like I thought I was gonna rank higher, but then the more I thought about it, the more I didn't think this was a good situation for me personally. And it's Board Game Bar.
It's not a good situation for you, but it's a pretty good situation. I would just kind of group it in with drinks, but I do have something that might qualify for this. Okay. I have competition date.
Okay.
Which is mini golf, go-karts.
I might have multiple bowling.
Yeah, you probably have multiple. I found the best way to do it was by category. So Board Game Bar seems like a pretty good one for me because board games aren't about skill, which you probably are going to disagree with. And
well, actually, that's part of my problem with some of them.
Okay, and if you don't take it too seriously, it's just something to do when you're at like the awkward conversational impasses.
Yeah. No, I gotcha. Yeah, just from history of me and my wife, board games aren't a good situation.
And actually, Ashley and my first date was at Guthrie's. We just did a board game.
Yeah, like in my head, it seems like a pretty good situation, but then the more I think about it for me personally, maybe not the best.
Yeah, I mean you're hyper competitive, which is why I think
it's not fun to play Scrabble with me. It's just not.
Oh, and I don't want to play Scrabble on a date because I don't want to lose at it and look stupid. I want to play the game of life or
a game where even if you lose, like it's not because you're dumb or you're just like.
Or she's gonna be dumb, and then I'm gonna be like, ugh.
What about one of those games where you just be like a dick, like Trouble or something like that? But that's not even fun with two. That's the other thing with board game bar. I feel like you need more than 2 people.
Yeah, there are very few. Like that's more like yeah, I mean it has to be like Battleship.
Yeah, Battleship.
Board game. Battleship is a good arbitrary lucky game.
Except then, like, I would probably think the person I was playing against was cheating, and then I wouldn't be able to trust them. Because I just assume everybody's cheating when you play Battleship.
It is. I mean, I've watched my nephew cheat aggressively, and he doesn't. He's 5. It's like the first dishonest thing he's ever done is play a game of Battleship.
I don't actually cheat when I play it, but I assume everybody else cheats. Because I assume if I lose, that's why. All right, so that was my number 7 was Board Game Bar. So then I think to get back on track, it should be your number 7 right now.
We should be at my number 7, which is, you probably aren't going to love this one. Project Together Date, which is like a cooking class or an art thing or some shit I would never do independent of a woman.
So I talked to Jess about this, and she loves this idea, and I did not rank it because I'm like, you can't start. I don't want to start out on that. I want to save that.
Yeah, you do. I mean, that's another thing. A lot of you bring up a very good point with this, like, you gotta keep measured progress.
Yeah. Because you gotta kind of like build up on dates for a while before you could just totally get lazy.
Yeah.
And then once you get the get lazy thing, then it's just smooth sailing. But yeah, no, I don't actually think this is a bad date. I just wouldn't use it as a first date. I've done it with Jess. We have like a thing to go to one of these actually with us now. We still go do it. It's fun.
You probably like got it for Mother's Day. Like this is a nice little gift, a thoughtful thing to do.
It's actually like a total cop out gift. Like you're just like, this is easy to buy and you don't have to really make a decision.
It is kind of a.
But and they like it all the time though. So like that's why it's not bad though.
Types of gifts. might be-
Types of-
because like in my history of buying women gifts, basically I just tell them I like it when they tell me exactly what they want.
Yeah, you know who refuses to do that is my wife.
Yeah,
Absolutely
that's
refuses.
unfortunate. Now, I guess at your point in the relationship, you should have a pretty good idea what she wants.
I feel like it gets harder over time.
Well, maybe you've just given her everything.
Yeah, but that's it. Yeah, you nailed it.
You're welcome for your next cop out when you can't find a fucking gift for her.
What's your number 6?
My number 6 is, drum roll please, competition date, which we already talked about. Mini golf, go-karts, I don't know, whirly ball.
I have a couple of these on my list, so I won't get too into them. I don't like go-karts as much. I didn't put that on my list.
It might not actually be a competition.
And you just can't really talk. You're like in separate cars.
Yeah, but they're short little runs.
Yeah. And I think I suck at go-karts. That's probably another reason I don't like them. I just claim I always get the slow one, but I think over time that probably just means I suck at it.
There's definitely different calibrations of go-karts.
But there's no way I've always gotten the slow one. Well, maybe there is, but yeah, you know what? I'm actually really good at it. I've just always gotten the slow one.
I think that's a fair thing. Also, like, how do you know that, like, being like a 200-pound guy, that's got to make you slower, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
it's a huge difference. You could go on a date with somebody who weighs 70 pounds, 80 pounds less than you.
Hopefully.
Depending on how big you are, hopefully.
With me, definitely, hopefully.
It might be weird if you weigh 155 pounds. But yeah. So that was your. We'll get into a couple more specifics on those.
Competition. Of those, I mean, I think mini golf's kind of a good one.
I agree. It's my highest rated one.
Okay. Then we'll discuss them individually.
My number 6 is a perfectly fine first date. It's probably the most common first date, but it's never gonna wow somebody, and it's just dinner.
Bad idea. Didn't even make my list.
Bad idea.
For internet dating purposes, it's a bad idea. Yes.
I've never been on an internet date.
Yeah, you haven't. So, but you're saying this is kind of a general list. Here's the thing. You want to have drinks with the option to turn it into dinner or apps or more drinks. That's the way to go.
I'm really awkward at a bar, man. I suck at bars. Considering how much time I've spent in them, that's why drinks are so low for me.
Yeah, but they're awkward too, and everyone's kind of uncomfortable, and it takes at least a drink for anyone to get comfortable.
I don't know. I feel like I work better at a dinner table situation.
Okay. Well, I mean, for some guys too, they know their food. I don't.
I do know food. My number 5 is basically the same thing, but just earlier in the day, and it's brunch.
Brunch is a good idea, and day drinks. Much
day
better
drinks.
than coffee.
If you're like outside brunch on like a nice day,
that's
beautiful.
a good first date.
You got it. What you have to do though is you have to build in an excuse for when the date should end. Like, because you have some other plans later in the day. Now, if the date's going good, you could cancel those fake plans, but you need to have those fake plans built in.
That applies to a lot of these. It's a little harder to have an out for day, but
you got
to available.
You know what? You want to have a reason to leave.
You're not a lonely guy. You have many options socially. It's a privilege.
Oh, I don't even mean it that way. I mean it like if it's awkward, you want to really.
Oh no, I mean it in a million ways. Now I'm just trying to extrapolate it to make this a little more interesting of a podcast.
But yeah, brunch. I just think brunch is probably like daytime brunch and weekend. Yeah, it's sunny out and you're outside for brunch. Everybody's gonna have a good time. You're in a good mood. Everybody's in a good mood. It'll help things.
Agreed.
All right, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is show. We talked about. I said a concert is the best option. of those because concert, like you can maybe go to a bar in the back or there's intermissions between bands. You don't have to stay if it sucks.
You just kind of go. I
You
got
just
you.
kind of go.
Like a smaller venue concert.
Yeah,
Probably-
I mean,
probably
like
what you're looking for.
U2 at the United Center is probably not a great first date.
But like a small venue concert.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say of those, it's probably the best one. I would agree with that. So then that was your number 5.
That's my number 5, and my
Which
number
means you're on your number
4
4.
is coming up, and that is outdoor event, specific event. It kind of was just street festival to me or something like that. If there's anything else like that.
Okay, so there's 2 I forgot, and I think they fall both into this. So let's talk about it.
Okay, well, I'm curious what the second one is because I couldn't really come up with anything besides a street festival that I would put in this category.
So it doesn't work in Chicago, but where I live now in Madison, Wisconsin, because it's kind of awesome, and you won't normally think of these as being awesome, it's the farmers market on the square. There's a big square around the Capitol. It's a big farmers market. People are drinking coffee, eating food. There's a bunch of bars around. You can stop in and get a drink.
That sounds better than typical farmers market. To me, that sounds like
Exactly.
more of a relationship obligation you do when you're already dating someone.
It's kind of a high. It's almost like it's like farmers market with a dash of street festival almost.
Yeah, I mean,
like
you know what? That's like what someone goes to on a show as a first date, either a fictional first date or a show where they're like
a dating show.
staging the date.
Yeah. But street festival for a first date, would you suggest doing that daytime street festival? Probably, right?
Yeah. I mean, street festivals at night get pretty fucking drunk.
Yeah, I think daytime street festival, like in Chicago. I just totally forgot those. But yeah, that's a good ranking. If I had to redo this list, I'd probably put that up there.
Yeah, and I mean, outdoor event does not count music festival. That is a fucking entirely another animal. That'll be a
You
terrible
can't
first
go
date.
like Lollapalooza first date. No. All right. My number 4 is it's bowling.
Didn't make my list because I suck at it.
But here's the thing, though. I'm not really the best bowler. I could definitely like get myself in I'd lose. I could lose to a girl on a first date bowling. But I kind of know. Here's the thing. I feel like bowling used to be like a common date thing back in the day, a long time ago, and now it's kind of like you're almost doing something different if you go bowling.
I mean, yeah, I think in the city, access to bowling lanes isn't like.
You don't want to go to like Lucky Strike either, though. You want to go to like a real bowling alley.
No, yeah. I mean, you want to go to one that. I don't know. Southport lanes, they put up the pins. That's a bit of a pain in the ass.
Like Diversity Rock and Bowl.
Diversity Bowl is a good spot.
My number 3, and this is actually what my wife claims is our first date. Now that we talked about it, and it's going to the zoo.
The zoo's great. That would. I don't know where that goes. It probably actually goes with my number 3,
Really,
which I just put as museums.
it's kind of like a museum, right?
Yeah.
Zoo. They have the thing at the zoo in Lincoln Park at night, right? Where you get like drinks at the zoo.
Yeah. They have like a big brew fest that was expensive to buy tickets to.
But I feel like the drinks at the zoo thing at night could be cool. It's like adults only drinks and whatever.
Yeah, I mean the only thing is Lincoln Park Zoo doesn't have a lot of animals. They're never really out. The tigers are always so mad. They're
You're reviewing the zoo right now like a 7-year-old.
I have taken a kid there and he was like, the tigers are frighteningly angry. And the lions.
I was there and the lion went full like Lion King and like crawled up to the front of that rock and just roared, and it was awesome last time I was there.
Oh man, yeah, I've never seen anything like that there. Also, they got rid of the penguin house, and the penguins are my favorite animal.
Oh yeah, I mean penguins are pretty cool. Top zoo animals is a good one since zoos are inherently bad since they're animal prisons. It's polar bear. I'm always into the polar bear.
Yeah, they have probably the worst deal of anyone at the zoo, don't they?
Because they're so huge.
95 degrees outside.
They're just like outside in the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a great setup. But yeah, the zoo, you can have a good time. You walk around the zoo, you look at some animals. The only downside is it smells like shit sometimes.
And the angry tigers. I mean, can't emphasize how angry they are.
I've never experienced these angry tigers.
I wish the Tigers that played for Missouri were as angry as the Tigers at the Lincoln Park Zoo. Then maybe we'd win a few more fucking games.
I did once see a gorilla jacking off when I was at the zoo,
Well,
and it was pretty lewd. And like he might have been making eye contact with like a woman that was like there. It was weird, man.
why did she stay? Like, did she feel like she had to watch him finish?
She did not stay and watch him finish. She did not. She did not stay and watch him. I was not
paralyzed by fear.
At first. I think she didn't realize what was happening. Right? Like, oh, this guy's just like looking at me, and just gorillas are just looking at me and jerking off. That'd be weird. Oh wait, that's actually happening. The gorillas are great. Did you see the thing online where the guy did like a quote unquote magic trick with the gorilla and it like blew its mind?
No.
He did like a card trick, but it really wasn't a card trick. He just like moved the card like outside of like the glass of the gorilla because he had brought it back and it was a different card, and the gorilla like literally like fell over like in shock and started laughing.
See, that's great because that's human reaction, but also asserts our superiority.
Yeah. But yeah, the zoo's a great time, man.
Zoo's good.
So what was your number 3 again?
My number 3 was museum, but
yeah, so it's along the same lines.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, at a museum, there's a downfall, and that's that I probably don't know a lot about whatever it is. Like, if we went to like that Basketball Hall of Fame, that would be a good museum for me to assert that I'm an expert on something. But beyond that,
yeah, you gotta just like be a guy that's into learning.
Yeah, you gotta
embrace like the learning.
You have to humble yourself.
Yeah,
and just
Or if you kind of realize early on the person you're on a date with is an idiot, you can just start making shit up.
Yeah,
just entertain yourself.
You're laying the basis for. That's probably not a great first date, then.
To be fair, if you think the person you're on a date with is an idiot, it's probably not going that far.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, you should have fun. Even when I was on a bad first date, I was like, I'm still gonna get drunk and I'm still gonna talk to this person because
enjoy it.
We're here.
Yeah, enjoy it.
Yeah.
All right. So what's your number 2?
My number 2, and we are getting down here to the nitty gritty, I suppose. Oh, I'm wondering if this will come up on yours. I think because it's actually pretty social, depending on your interest in it, and that's sporting event.
Mm-hmm. It's my number 1.
It's your number 1. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought like roller derby.
I have specifics though.
Okay. Like I said roller derby would be like a great first date because like I don't even know how that works, but it's definitely interesting to watch, and you have to pay.
I've been to one. It's entertaining. It's cheap. It also shows that you're down with the LGBT community.
Oh yeah, I want to go see this when they play at UIC. I've been trying to see this team for like 2 or 3 years.
I've been to it. I have like a friend who referees roller derby,
and they get their fucking asses kicked.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And you don't really need to know what's going on to really even enjoy it. But by the end, you'll kind of like have an idea of like the rules.
It's like however many people get past one person or something is how you score points.
Kind of, yeah. If you like lap people or something, yeah. I don't know. It's weird. It's cool though. I can't even remember it now, but like if I watch a few rounds, I would figure it out. Yeah.
Sporting event was my number 2.
I'll get to my more specifics when I get to my number 1. My number 2 is mini golf. We already briefly talked about it. Of the outdoor competition-y things, I just like it's fun. You're outside. If you go to like Diversity mini golf, it's not the fanciest one. You don't have to be good at it, but there's a little outside bar right there.
Yeah, that one's not at all fancy.
But who cares? You got the outside bar there.
You're on the lake. It's nice.
It's nice, and you just go dick around on a mini golf course. Even if like the person you're going with has like no athletic ability, you can still mini golf. It's not like they're gonna like feel uncomfortable mini golfing. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter. So you're not like going totally extreme and messing with somebody, and it's fun. And you can just pretend you're on the Dayton from the Karate Kid. So then my number 1 is sporting event, which we briefly talked about. I have specific events. I think football game is a terrible sporting event to go to for a first date.
Yeah, I mean, it requires a lot of attention, and there's not good downtime for conversation.
Specifically like Chicago, because it's gonna be cold. Maybe if you live in like a dome stadium that's easy to get to, I don't know.
I still think
But
it's weird, and there's so many fucking drunkards.
yeah, just drunks is part of the issue, right? It's just drunks. And in Chicago, getting to Soldier Field is just a huge ordeal. And
Yeah, it several hours together.
and you're gonna freeze your balls off and wear 100 layers of clothes the whole time. It's just not the best date. But I think the best one is basketball game. It's like 2.5 hours long. Girls can kind of dress up when they go to like an NBA game. And it's not, and you don't feel out of place.
Yeah, because it's like kind of an urban event.
Yeah, and you don't feel out of place, and it's like 2.5 hours, not too long. I'm gonna just come off really good in that situation, sitting in a basketball game.
Oh yeah, it's the same thing I said about Basketball Hall of Fame.
I'm gonna look great. And if for some reason like the girl really like fucking hates being at a basketball game, that's like really good knowledge for me to know because we're not going on a second date. You don't have to be a big basketball fan, but if you don't like going to a basketball game once in a while, this is not gonna work out.
Well, I mean, the Bulls, it's such a great production.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm, like. If you like, you don't have to be a big sports fan for like a girl doesn't have to be a big sports fan to like enjoy going to like a sporting event once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, they
It's
got like gimmicks between the.
And it's just fun. It's like a thing out. People like it. I think baseball game, if the weather's good, is a good one.
I think baseball game probably be my number one, actually, if I thought about it.
It could be long.
Yeah, you're right about
Baseball
that.
games could be long. So you have no clue.
I don't ever feel a huge obligation to stay to the end of the game, personally.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing in this is it can't be like if you're like a Bulls fan or like a Blackhawks fan, it can't be like a playoff game.
Oh, it can't be a big game.
No,
You have to be like totally apathetic, which is why I think another reason baseball works. It's like, how big can the fucking game be? There's 161 other games.
Yeah, you have to be able to like kind of like ignore the game for bits and pieces and like talk. But like you're not gonna want to. Don't go to a huge sporting event as a first date. That's huge to you because that's just you're gonna look like a crazy person.
Yeah.
No.
And why are you wasting that ticket?
I agree.
Get friends.
Another good one I think maybe though if you like lived in New York, I think tennis. If it was like U.S. Open, that would be an awesome one, don't you think?
Yeah, the U.S. Open. I've just always wanted to go, even though I don't really give a shit about tennis.
I know, but I think that would be like an awesome.
It's a quintessential New York thing to do.
It's a very New Yorky thing if you live there, and you can go to an early round match with like whatever, probably get in pretty easy. Yeah, I think that's a good one. You got a few drinks. It's easy to have a few drinks when you're at a sporting event.
Yeah, I
it's
can't
great.
even speak to tennis.
I can't, but I think it would be fun. So what was your number one? Drinks. Let's just do this.
Drinks. All right, drinks are the best because you have an out. I mean, generally you want to do it on a weeknight if it's first date, and it's informal. There's no time commitment, and also I'm just comfortable at a bar. I don't know. For me, that's a good setting. Date is just a job interview with hopefully more cleavage, and I don't know. I mean, I think it's a good venue to talk about yourself, and the liquor helps.
It's like not a date though. It's like a pre-date.
Okay, so then you can make it into a full-fledged date. Like, here's how you know a first date's going well is if you make a venue change. A venue change is huge.
Yeah.
Not like going to another part of town.
Well, like going to like another place to get some food, or like if you went somewhere,
or like being like, oh yeah, like let's get a nightcap.
If you went to eat first, and you're like, hey, let's go get something like that. No, that totally true. I just
okay, so that's what I like about Parlor in the West Loop. My buddy owns it. You should go there. It's great. Blah blah blah. Plug whatever. He's soon to be my landlord, so please, maybe he'll lower the rent. Is that you could totally just manipulate that into dinner from drinks.
Yeah, you could there because it's like a place where you could go. Like if you got on the roof deck,
you could go for either.
Go on the roof deck and like get a few drinks and like, hey, you want to get a pizza? You want to get a small pizza here because they have those little pizzas and
there's strong beers.
Yeah, you want strong beers because that way you don't have to drink 1,000 Bud Lights.
Yeah, I mean you look like more of an adult, less of an alcoholic, even if you still are. Like that's what craft beer has done. It has just changed the way alcoholism works.
Oh yeah, like you could just get under the radar drunk now.
Yeah, like Mad Men, they just be drinking IPAs instead of all those fucking scotches. That's what this generation of drunks does.
Yeah, you just drink you just order like a 12% imperial stout, and it's like you just drink 3 Bud Lights in like 20 minutes.
And way more acceptable.
You end up looking like classier when really you're just like fucking getting wrecked.
Yeah.
The problem is though, now that I don't live in the city, if like, well, we Uber sometimes when we go out, but like if I like drive somewhere, like for dinner, you can't really drink too many. Like you can't have that many. Of
No,
those.
you got to switch back to those Bud Lights. Actually,
The other day I did it and I switched to a Guinness.
oh, that's kind of my go-to light drink too. Actually,
Yeah,
it's also low cal, which is I've always
it's like
funny.
and it's under the radar locale, so you still like
You look like a
tough.
man. It's not like ordering a Michelob Ultra.
You look tough. Well, that's a heavy beer. Like it's not really. It's a nice under the radar one. But yeah, drinks. That's more of a me thing too. I feel like if I'm walking into a bar sober with somebody that I don't know, it's not going to go well.
Yeah, they're in. But you always have to remember on a first date, they're in the same weird, uncomfortable boat you are.
That's not how my brain works. So this is why I've successfully avoided first dates for the most part. Just jump to like date 3 or 4.
Yeah, that's when it gets fun.
When you're comfortable.
Yeah. Also, the third date is a pretty big date in my mind of like, are we gonna sleep together? Like I have had, we've gotten 3 dates.
Did 90s sitcoms teach you that?
I don't know where I got it, but I have stuck with that third date rule.
I'm pretty sure.
I've been like, third dates have been like romantic, drinking is involved.
I think Seinfeld.
I made Ashley dinner on our third date at my
Seinfeld.
apartment.
Didn't Seinfeld teach us that? Because isn't that the third date when Elaine had to decide whether this guy was sponge-worthy by the third date?
That might be right. Well, I stuck with. I think it's a fair amount of time as a fucking adult.
Yeah, I mean, you're not like 15.
Like, my chastity is gone. Like, what do I give a shit? You know, like.
To be fair, we could just learn a lot of things from old Seinfeld episodes. So
It does seem more timeless. I mean, like the way it looks isn't. You know, those huge cordless phones and tucked in shirts and dad jeans and all that.
Tucking in sweaters into jeans is just a savage move by Jerry. But that, yeah, you're right though. Like of all the shows from that era, that's the one where like I feel like besides if you like if you close your eyes, it still seems like a relevant show. Except for that every plot would be ruined by cell phones, which is like people have brought up.
Yeah, well, that's why there's a Seinfeld Today Twitter account.
Yeah, because it has to be completely different. It is good.
Yeah.
This actually went a little better than I thought it was. I was pretty worried about this.
Yeah, it wasn't as so I didn't sit down and do this until like a half hour before we started. And I was like, "This sucks."
And we knew kind of going into it, Brendan might have to carry it a little because I don't know.
So I was like, "Oh, this is," because every first date I ever went on was in a bar, so I don't have all this varied experience.
My first date knowledge is basically from like watching dating shows on TV.
Yeah, who make like fictional first dates up that people don't do, or they're in bars.
Speaking of fictional first dates, I think next week we might be talking about some fictional dating.
Some fictional love, yeah.
Some fictional love. We might have a pseudo bachelorette preview by people who don't even know a lot about the Bachelorette.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've literally never watched an episode.
It'll be interesting. So get ready for that if you want to hear us criticize douchebags' pictures on the internet.
Well, I mean, I think I'll be good at that part of it.
That's all you really need. That's
how you've structured this. So
I've structured the whole thing where you don't need to know anything about the show.
I'm good at criticizing guys who are better looking than me.
Oh, I'm awesome at it.
It's kind of the defense
There's
mechanism you develop.
5 or 6 guys I'm allowed to criticize like that. But yeah, I'm awesome at criticizing them. Thanks for listening, everybody. You should like our Facebook page and please share our Facebook post and all that and comment on it and review us on iTunes and subscribe there if you somehow haven't, or Stitcher. And thanks, and we will talk to you later.